Hi, my name is Matthew Rawlings, and today I'll be talking about the life and work of Zora Neale Hurston. Okay, so Hurston's background and early life. Zora was born in 1891 and she died in 1960, so she lived to be 69 years old. Not a great life, but she was born in Alabama and then moved to Eatonville, Florida at the age of 4, where her father was the mayor and he was also a physician, from what I remember. Eatonville, Florida was one of the first all-black towns incorporated in the U.S., and it was used as the backdrop for most of her stories in her literature. She had a pretty big family. She had 8 kids in the family. She was the 6th child of 8 kids. She lived in a big house. I think her father was decently wealthy, and they had 8 rooms. She attended Barnard College and Howard University, and she had multiple marriages in her life, and none of them really lasted long. I believe she stopped marrying in about 1944. She had, I think, 3 consecutive marriages between 28 and 43. That's about it. So who is Zora? Zora, she's known for being a world-renowned author, of course, a journalist, and an influential member of the Harlem Renaissance. She's most known for that, the Harlem Renaissance, and being an author. She has published more than 50 pieces of literature, most of them referring to African American literature. She was very influential to the African community. Her works went over the struggles and the difficulties of the black community back then. And what was interesting was she was also known for Haitian voodoo, which is kind of interesting. I don't know how that got in there, but yeah. Okay, so Hurston's famous work, Their Eyes Were Catching God, 1937. This was known for being her most favorite piece of work. This story was about a girl named Jane Crawford who talks about the story of her life to her best friend, just flashbacks on what happened, and it was kind of a depressing story. And it involved racism and how it shines light on women back then and their role in society. I thought it was kind of a depressing book, but yeah, I didn't really read it, but I just looked over it and it looked interesting and depressing, I guess. Yeah, this one, Hurston's, this is my famous piece of work by Hurston. I actually read pieces of this book, How It Feels to Be Colored Me. It came out in 1928. It was one of her first real good pieces, in my opinion. I ended up reading this in my first semester English class. We read pieces of it and we had to talk about it. And it's about her herself growing up in Eatonville, the small black community, and it was about her transition to a white community and how that she really never felt black until she left the community. She didn't really know what it felt like to be African American until she left that community. And yeah, that's what this book is about. Another famous piece of work is Mules and Men. That came out in 1935, and that's just kind of like a short collection of stories, of American folklore, that are about her, the stories of her life, the time that she went to Eatonville in Polk County, Florida. That's about it. And the book embraces her own re-immersion in the folklore of her childhood. So I thought that was pretty cool, writing about herself. The Life and Legacy of Zora Hurston. So Zora died in 1960 at the age of 69 during a long period of financial and medical difficulties. She was forced to live in a welfare home and died of a stroke while living there. It was kind of depressing. When she died, no one really knew much about her, and she didn't really have much of a legacy. And apparently when she died, they did not give her a tombstone. And about 8 years later, 10 years later, a couple African American historians went to her so-called gravesite and found a tombstone near it and just claimed it as hers. And over here on the right is what it looks like, her little memorial. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. And then another influential person in her life was Alice Walker. So Alice Walker she was about 16 when she died, but she grew up really interested in Zora Hurston, and she wrote a book about her, talking about her forgotten works. And the book was called The Color Purple. And that book went on to win the Pulitzer Prize. I thought it was really interesting. It went over all the stuff that was forgotten about Zora and all the famous pieces of work. I'm glad she won the Pulitzer Prize for it. Right here is a very famous quote from Zora. I really liked it. That's why I chose it to put it on here. Sometimes I feel discriminated against, but it does not make me angry. It merely astonishes me. How can any deny themselves the pleasure of my company? It's beyond me. I thought that was a really strong quote to include because it really says who she is, and it really doesn't make her feel bad about herself. She doesn't feel bad that she's discriminated against. She just acts tough in this quote. That's what I like about it. Here's my works cited. So pretty much everything I got was from the Zora Neale Hurston website, which I thought was really interesting. I'll take you there right now. The website all about her. It's really, really cool. It's where I got most of my stuff. Here's a quote from Alice Walker, of course, Pulitzer Prize winner. Very interesting. But yeah, that wraps up my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you.